So those are just some of the comments that were made by leadership of the Department of Water and Sanitation during the Water Indaba. We get some reaction now. We're joined by the South African Local Government Association President, Bheke Stofile, joining us this evening. Mr. Stofile, thank you so much for joining us. An absolute pleasure speaking to you. As you hear the comments made there by the Water and Sanitation Minister as well as the Deputy Minister, a lot of, I suppose, finger pointing towards municipalities and the role of municipalities. And I want to start off with what we just heard there by the Deputy Minister, David Mahlobo, who talks about how some municipalities must have asset management plans. But he goes as far as to say that some don't even know where the pipes in their municipalities are. Do you think that the Deputy Minister has characterized the situation in some of our municipalities, succinctly there?
Thank you very much, Naledi, and greetings to you and to your listeners, and thank you for having us, and it's a great pleasure. I think you'll know there's a say in South Africa, let us be careful to point fingers towards one direction. One African and Nigerian storyteller always reminds us that it's always proper to dissect and try to interpret and the dangers of the single story that are directed to only one line. And that is equal to say, as you point with your one finger forward, three of your fingers pointed at your direction. And if you use democratic principles, it might then say at majority, you are at fault. There are challenges, and I must say this, there are challenges in local government. Probably one day I will talk to you about what I always wrote, that the local government was destined to fail. And that is why the manner in which the white paper was crafted, an assumption was made that 90% will come of revenue will come from municipalities. And of course, there are challenges that we cannot run away from them. There are municipalities, of course. Remember, it's dangerous for us to have to paint municipalities with one brush, because at the end of the day, we won't be able to understand the magnitude of the problem. There are municipalities that have an asset register that is very active. There are those that they don't have because of they don't even have sufficient resources to fund putting together that asset register. So that is why if you read the Constitution, it requires that the other spheres of government in the situation of that nature, it needs to come and work with the municipalities in trying to assist them to address their problems.
I mean, you make an interesting point. We can't paint all municipalities with the same brush, but perhaps you can assist me with, of the total 257 municipalities that we do have in the country, I mean, a percentage, if you're able to share with me, of how many of them do have an asset management plan that looks specifically at their water infrastructure. If we can go to that sort of detail, yeah.
You out of your 257 municipalities are broken down by 44 districts and 8 metros. With certainly it is understandable that there are metros in the Republic that they do have that management asset register. And the issue, it will be a different challenge that they are facing, and it cannot be then brushed with the same brush. I mean, if you go to a municipality, because I need to be practical on this, because the challenge is that we always talk above heads, above our heads. Go to a municipality, take a municipality called Umbasha in the Eastern Cape, and look into the size of that municipality and look into what is the fiscus allocating that municipality, and ask a question, will that municipality, with that fiscal minute as it is, with a very few household that is able to collect, will that municipality be able to develop a credible, dependable asset register? Then I will leave that to you to think about it, because that speaks on number of issues pertaining to maintenance plan, including funding the maintenance, is concerned. And I think, to me, this debate, it should be it shouldn't be about blaming X and not blaming why. It should be, how do we then come handy in municipalities that we know that they don't have a capacity because of a policy choice that we have taken? And how do we then contribute in making sure that it does create this capacity and respond to the challenges that are faced by the public and thereby by the spheres of government?
So if I sit with the case study that you've then offered us, which is Mbashe local municipality, for instance, and you say, well, this is, apologies, a small municipality, so it may not necessarily have the resources that are necessary for it to acquire an asset register so that it knows what infrastructure shortfalls and strengths it does have. What is the solution that we put to the table? Because certainly it is important that that asset register be established nonetheless so that people of even Mbashe local municipality have access to clean drinking water.
That is the issue that Naledi were arguing. We are saying, be careful to paint everything with the same brush. It is important, more in particular those that are in government at national level, to have an ability to differentiate, because size, capacity, and financial resources of municipalities are not the same. You know, so the danger of South Africans, we like to throw this jargon or big word that municipalities are failing, but we are unable to locate it. Having failed these municipalities, and I've listened to the Deputy Minister and Minister Majodina, we are then failing to ask a follow-up question. What are you doing with that failure, Minister, in your department, using Section 154 of the Constitution, that you need to assist municipality when it fails?
And so is that the recommendation, that the Department of Water and Sanitation needs to step in to these smaller municipalities to give them the resources to be able to acquire and understand where the pipes are in their community?
The issue to me, Naledi, is that there are reasons for South African government. Of course, President Ramaphosa, when he negotiated the constitution with whoever that he negotiated with towards the transition, they were all vividly clear that resources, leadership capability, and many issues of leadership are not the same. That is why they then decided to create government in a three type of government, being province, national, and local. And that is why they infused Section 154 in the Constitution. They said, if you read Section 154, in the event municipalities fail to perform their duty, national government and provincial government will come and assist. What does that mean? It's an upfront acknowledgement that there is a weakness. The problem is, I always argue this issue, the problem is that national is sitting somewhere and say, oh gosh, there is a problem in local government. And therefore, one issue to resolve the issue is to send individuals. That is not what is required. Because national government, unfortunately, when it reaches to municipalities, there's a stampede of accountability and leadership. That is why you see in municipalities that they've intervened and they've sent administrators. They have never seen the light of the day. The problem is that you don't develop what outcomes would you like to see having entered into that municipality struggling. When you go out as a national government, you leave that municipality intact, stronger, focusing the challenges that it requires to focus in terms of Section 152. So I think, to me, what is the biggest problem is that you have a helicopter view, and this helicopter view doesn't tell you what are the real problems, and if you happen to enter into there, what are the outcomes that you want to achieve thereafter. And this is my argument generally. There is a law in South Africa called Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act. And this law empowers, it's an act of parliament. The parliament, out of its wisdom, believed that out of the three spheres of government, the power are not the same. And therefore, they need to complement each other. And that is why they talk about Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act, so that intergovernmentally they can deal with the issue of water, for instance, issues of electricity, for instance. Let me make you one biggest example, for instance, to show that we are living, we pigeonhole our operations. Currently, there is a debate of tariff increase. Water boards are saying 8% to 16% and so on and so forth. But you are not sitting back and look the impact of that to end user, because that cost is going to be transferred to a household. It's not necessary to municipalities. Currently, as we sit here, 388.5 billion rand is owed to municipalities, so as they owe other service providers in the value chain. Now, if you increase this, how will the debt picture look like?
Right.
And where do you want to go?
This is where I suppose things get quite difficult, because there is the role of Salga in all of this, right? In being able to, I suppose, bring the various role players to the table to assist all municipalities. And I quite like the case study that you gave us of Mbashe local municipality. What sort of assistance does Salga then give to it? But I suppose what I'm looking for is the outcome. So the Water and Sanitation Indaba has come out. The call from the Minister of Water and Sanitation has said municipalities must have a water-friendly budget. So talk to me about how you take that call to action forward as Salga.
It is important to have a water-friendly budget under circumstances in which, at the economic level, we are operating. You'll know that water is through a process of buying and selling in the process. And that is why earlier on I spoke about the percentage increase that is proposed. And that it is our assumption that it is budget-orientated expectations from the water boards. Now, here's the problem, is that you are saying this on one hand, but you are unable to say the same thing on the other hand. Here's the disparity to show in the call that is made by Mr. Municipalities are expected to do that, but other entities such as Water Board are not addressing that according to the interest or the views that the minister is saying. This is the issue. And I'm saying, because government is one, and government as it is one, it sources its income and revenue from households. Now, once you are unable to connect the dots, ultimately who is punished in the process is the household. And I hope all of us, we have made our calculations in this. I've said earlier on, electricity is 12.7%. The water is suggesting something like 9 to 16%. The total is about 30%. Who is going to pay that? It's not necessarily a municipality. It is the household.
Right.
And in the process of that, how do you then as government, singly united as an entity, intervene in the best interest of the communities?
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting questions. They're certainly taking the conversation forward, though, talking about the difficulties that municipalities do face in being able to reach some of the goals as set by the Water and Sanitation Minister at that Water Indaba. But we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Councillor Bheke Stofile, the President of the South African Local Government Association.